Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa Whyte as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Hello, disruptors, and welcome back to another episode of Mindset Master Moments. Of course, I'm your host, Dr. Alisa Whyte, the #1 mindset disruptor. And today we're diving into a conversation that I know will shake up how you think about life, control, and the power of choice. Let me ask you this, though. How often do we wait for the perfect time to live the life we want? How often do we postpone joy, freedom, purpose for some imaginary someday? You know that thing, that big word, one day, someday. Well, my guest today says it's time to stop waiting, and I'm in alignment with that. I'm sure he's going to teach me some tricks and get my mindset flipped in the right direction for this. Well, today it's a time for you to start living, and it's right now, right here. I am talking with Hussein Hallack. He's an entrepreneur, strategist, and the author of the #1 best-selling book, The Dark Art of Life Mastery. Couldn't wait to have him. Hussein has built over 20 startups, raised more than $2.5 billion in capital. I did not say million, I said billion. So this man knows a few things, and he's worked with everyone from immigrant founders to artists to global leaders. But his story isn't about money, titles, or even success as the world would define it. It's about facing chaos, navigating uncertainty, and reclaiming your agency when life refuses to play by the rules. You see, it's talking about my life. Well, Hussein was born in Syria, walked away from the conventional path, and went on a journey that's taken him from entrepreneurship to global influence. Today, as the CEO of Next Decentrum, he helps people and organizations find clarity in complexity and build impact that lasts. And his book, The Dark Art of Life Mastery, has been sparking deep conversation across the globe because it's not about giving you easy answers. It's about showing you how to stand at the helm of your own life. Hussein, it is my honor and privilege to finally be able to sit with you and have this conversation. Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, and we're ready to learn the dark art of life mastery. Tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Thank you very much for this incredible introduction. I'm, I think, filled with pride, I would say. It's great to be here. And I'll introduce myself and I'll do one small correction, if I may.
Absolutely.
But I'll start with introducing myself. So I was born in Damascus, Syria, the oldest capital in the world. I had the privilege of living across 3 incredible cities, Damascus, Dubai, and Vancouver. And throughout my life, I think I've tried everything that I put my mind to it, except a few things, which is good. I started off with engineering, studied engineering, pursued music, pursued art, built businesses before knowing what building a business would take. I actually was an entrepreneur before knowing the word entrepreneur. The word entrepreneur doesn't exist even in Arabic.
Yeah.
And managed to build several companies for me and for others, and then ended up in Vancouver, this wonderful city where my family grew, and I managed to work with a lot of entrepreneurs. And here's the small correction. I didn't raise the $2.5 billion. I helped other entrepreneurs who collectively raised $2.5
Yes,
billion.
exactly. Yes. Thank you for that. And I think that's what I meant to say. Absolutely.
So that's a little bit about me, and I'm looking forward for the conversation.
Well, I am excited because you are definitely a force to be reckoned with. And of course, we're not only talking about the book, but your book brings to life so much of what you've learned on your journey of creating impact and helping others create, impact as well, not and build legacies. So I am so excited to talk with you. So let's start off. As you said, you were born in Syria and you walked away from that conventional path and you went on the journey of taking on entrepreneurship, right? So,
Hmm.
my question for you before we get to the book is you talked a little bit of letting go of the illusion of control because that's something that we deal with a lot. It's sort of that's for me that's a hard truth and it's also I believe for a lot of people. Why do you believe releasing illusion is the starting point of true life mastery? I mean, I almost should ask you, what is the definition of life mastery? Let's go there first. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is your definition of life mastery? We'll come back to that one.
Life mastery is living life as it is rather than as you want it to be, because you can only master things that uh, that you actually recognize what they are. If you
Ooh.
happen to think of something, like we approach life as if we have control, as if we can chart, let's say, a career or a path, and we can actually pursue that path. But if anybody looks at their life, it's a collection of demands on you that you responded to, and it's never what you intended it to be. Very rarely do we pursue or we manage to pursue a path that we want it to be, mainly because life doesn't unfold the way we want it. So for me, it's recognizing what life is and what you can do, and then working with that. And that's the path to mastery. And mastery happens when you are in one, I think, with your own life, when you're completely immersed in the living of your life. And I can talk a little bit more about that if you want.
My goodness, you got me right there at as it is. And I guess that's where we're going to talk about the illusion of control,
Hmm.
right? Why
Yeah.
do you believe releasing that illusion is a starting point for true life mastery?
When I was growing up in Syria, the difference between me and someone growing up in the US, let's say, in the US, you say you can do anything. You can be president, you can be anything you want. In
Right.
Syria, you can't be anything you want. Like literally the exact opposite. Because in Syria, I was studying an engineer and I can't work as an electronic engineer. I mean, I can work with the title engineer, but I can't work in anything that I wanted. There's no Intel factory, there's no manufacturing of chips. I mean, like integrated circuits. And if I wanted to become a graphic designer, there are no international agencies in Syria that I can pursue to become, let's say, creative director on the same level. I can't make movies like I wanted. I can't pursue, let's say, jazz and blues. Of course, I can play it, but I can't pursue it like the career or the dreams. In fact, in the 90s, if you weren't in LA or New York, you couldn't pursue it. But at least if you were in the US, you can
You have
travel there. You can
it
take a
gives you
bus there.
yeah, you have the
Yeah.
option to give up
Yeah.
everything and go live there.
Example of that, I fell in love with Picasso's work in 1992. It's the first time I saw his work in a book. It took me 30 years to see my first Picasso in MoMA in New York in 2022. That
Wow.
is how much the difference between what I wanted and what I can accomplish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me in Syria, I had, since that was not possible, I had to work with what is possible. So I had to work with what life did actually offer me, not my perception of what I can achieve. And that I didn't understand it at the time. Of course, I was upset. I wanted all these dreams. I read about these and I saw movies and I dreamt of doing that, but I had to work with what's possible, which became my strong point later, which became my pathway to mastery because I learned to take what is there and make the best out of it. And
Yeah.
that gave me a life that I didn't want and I never expected, but I enjoy it immensely.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I concur with that mind frame of I can dream about anything I want to be, but it's not available to me because I was born and raised in Guyana, South America, a lesser developing country. And being born in the 80s, or actually I was born in 1980, but, that was not available to us and still is not available to many. So coming to the USA meant that whatever dreams I have a lot more room to make them a reality, right? So that little bit that bit is a big part of how I guess when you think about that illusion of control is what is and then with your definition of life mastery is knowing what is and then how to take advantage of it, if I'm getting that
Yes.
right.
Yeah, living in the moment, in reality. A lot of us live in, we believe, and that's important. It's important to believe in yourself. It's
Yes.
important
A
to have
vision and a
dreams
dream.
and to want a life bigger than what you have. The
Yes.
danger is when you see life as it is, as bigger. Like you imagine, like, no, I'm good. Let's say you're a good example of that. There are no cars, I'm gonna cross the street and I'm okay, I'll be fine. And you ignore the cars that are there, and you're ignored that you're like crossing the highway. That's what I mean. You can survive. And some of those who actually do it, let's say fake it till you make it, and they survive and they cross to the other path or to the other side. But that's not a realistic approach. Like, they survived and it was a coincidence, but hundreds behind them will probably be crushed. So that's
Yes.
what I mean. A lot of us kind of buy into this illusion of what life can be, instead of saying, here's what life is. I want it to be that, and I'm going to work towards that. But this is where I am right now. Let me
Right.
work with where I am. Let me know where I stand and take steps based on where I stand. And that is a very entrepreneurial approach, because
Yes.
entrepreneurs, what they do is they have a big vision, and then they start their work with what they have right now. They talk to customers and they try to solve problems in reality right now. They don't imagine themselves. No investor is going to invest in your dreams. They're going to invest in the traction that you achieved in reality and your path towards a vision, but they need to see
Exactly.
realistic steps towards that.
Love that you said that about the entrepreneurial mindset. And one of my firmest beliefs is there are two mindsets that, I mean, I call myself the number one. Well, I'm not called myself, but I'm called the mindset disruptor. But I talk about all these different ways of thinking and these ways of setting your mind, right? And I believe that a growth mindset is the first one. The second one in my hierarchy of mindsets to have is an entrepreneurial mindset. Only because if you have one of those, like you, number one, you said you will live in a space where you have the vision, the goal, the dreams, but you also know where you're at. You're very focused. You know exactly where you are. You're not confused about it, but you're also, I would say, strategically using where you are as a springboard and the resources that are available to you, I would say, in consistency with strategy to get to where you want to go. And you never stop. Whatever, you also know that time invested in said strategy and process is never wasted, because number one, you're doing it in purpose and alignment. And what you're going to do is learn and then move faster in the next level that you arrive to. Or even if you have to go back to that level, you're not coming from a place of lack of knowledge and understanding. You have learned. Then to make that process even better, you have, with that vision you have and that strategy, you're going to start getting mentors. And mentors are going to help you now get to this dream, this vision even faster. Like you said, you pick up traction. No one's going to buy in. For example, I started this podcast and I never even thought of having guests on, but I started recording my voice on my cell phone and editing it myself and putting it out on a podcast platform. And nobody can even guess that that was what was going on, but that's what I had time for. That's the resources I had. And I just wanted the world to have my message without me having to go on social media and make reels, because I didn't have the time. And I was never getting to it. So I thought, oh, let me do it. I had 76 reels created and I was like, oh, they're going to just be podcasts because that's easier. And Hussein, today, as you know, you're here. This podcast has been around for almost 2 years. It's been top 1% for at least a year and a half or more of the time it's been around. And it's been an Apple Top podcast with almost 20,000 downloads per week. And I've had some of the most amazing humans sit here like you. That is the power of what you just said. I wanted to exemplify your statement because it is not something, if they're listening to us today, what he is teaching us is the core and responsible for every successful human on the planet. So I want to pivot to something that you've said is life doesn't owe us anything. That the sea of life owes us nothing, and mastery is about learning how to navigate it. How did that realization hit home for you personally, Hussein?
When I was very young, I used to dream that someday I'll discover that my father is a famous person, president, for example, and that will be the solution for everything. Like these movies that we watched, Disney or something. The frog becomes the prince, or somebody. There is something like that, discovering that you're the son of the lost son of somebody, and then suddenly you get the wealth that you get access to the whole world. I used to dream like that because it's an easy solution.
I
And
did. I had my own similar dream. Oh my goodness.
yeah,
I knew
because
I was famous. I knew I was born a queen, a princess, and I was a famous person, but no one realized it. Like I was just hiding in there.
exactly. And I think this is so true. And I lived this mindset of somebody's gonna come and save me from my
Yes.
life.
Yes.
And at a certain point, I don't remember when, and I think it's my desire for what I wanted surpassed I would say, the daydreaming. Like I would daydream about what is possible. But then I really wanted to play the guitar. And to play the guitar, you can't daydream, you have to train. And the first trainings are horrible because you can't even hear yourself, not to mention the others.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, I also trained my voice. We had so thin walls between us and the neighbors that I
Yes.
had to train with a pillow on my face so I can raise my voice, so I can train
Wow.
my voice. Um,
Wow.
but I trained so hard that I then got to headline a band. And I realized through the hard work that I got, the harder I worked on this, and I don't mean like hard work as it said, but the harder I work at the skill that I wanted to acquire towards my goal, the closer I got to enjoying the fluency of me being on the guitar, the ability to perform in front of others. This came as a direct result of not imagining myself as being a player, because I saw that. I mean,
Right.
you see
Right.
that actually in American Idol, or what is it, America's Got Talent or something.
Talent. Yes.
You see sometimes people who go up there and they tell you they are surprised when the judges tell them they're horrible. And no, I mean, they didn't listen to themselves. The people didn't tell them. And the challenge with that, aside from it being funny, the
Yes.
challenge is, if you don't have the ability to evaluate yourself and to
Yes.
realize where you are. I want people who are listening to us right now to look at their right hand and their left hand. And imagine if you're going towards, let's say, the camera on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
If you think you are on the right when you are actually on the left, and you move towards your camera, okay? You move as if you're on the right, you're heading towards your camera, you're never going to get there because you're actually on the left and you're far off field. You're going to go.
Exactly.
And that is the biggest challenge with, imagining life and living an illusion, or living life as it is. I realized that no matter how much I dream, this is my life and this is what I have in front of my life. In fact, my first
Mm.
guitar was a broken guitar from a cousin of mine, and it was like the strings were this high, and it was so hard to play and so painful, but I played it until I begged my father to buy me a better guitar, and I
Yeah.
had to ace all of my exams for the first year university for him to buy me my first guitar. It was $100 guitar, but it was great because I could play it. And that is, I think, when you start looking at life and saying, what do I want from it? Not what it can give me, not what I'm owed because I'm the son of this person or I am this person. And I used to be. Our family is very well known. I hold the name of my uncle, who's a very, very well known person across the Arab world. But when I stopped expecting that life owes me something, and I
Mm.
started demanding of it and pursuing the things that I want through
Right. The
action, I
clarity.
started getting I started getting that. And it's like, oh, okay, so if I train guitar, if I train on my guitar and I spend more time on it, I'll become better. And if I can become better, I have more chances of playing with bands. Okay, I see how this works. So I
Right.
started doing it more and more. And I stopped expecting what life is going to give me and what I'm owed because I'm an engineer or the son of this person or because I am that person. I stopped doing that. I had no time for it. I just was busy executing what I wanted to do.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Wow. Also, you talk about the right here, right now as the
Mhm.
only real place where we can live. Why do you think so many of us, Hussein, miss this simple truth? And how can we train our minds to come back to the moment? Really, how can we do that work and be created that habit of coming back to the right here, right now?
That's a great question. I asked myself that a lot of times, and what I found is that our brains evolved millions of years ago. For evolution to happen, it requires hundreds of thousands of years for us to evolve. Our brains haven't evolved yet to deal with civilization as it is right now. Our brains still are the caveman brains, where everything is a danger. And the since we don't live in a place where a saber-toothed tiger can eat us, when we walk out. Our
Right.
brain is trained to find danger to protect us. So everything is a danger. And
Yes.
living in the moment is where danger unfolds. So in the moment is where we get hurt. In the moment where, we can get feedback or have to deal with reality. It's easier to escape to a rosy vision of the future, or it's easy to dwell on the past and try to renegotiate it and debate it in our heads. It's easy, it's within our control. When we're in our heads, we're in full control of where we can take it. But in the moment, you're actually living. Life is risky
Yes.
because in the moment you can break your hand trying to play basketball. You can
Yes.
fall, you can talk to someone and you can get rejected. That's what
Yes.
happens in real life. And we're so afraid of it that we end up not living it, and we end up postponing decisions on choices. We end up
Mm,
not engaging in conversation, and everything is in our head. That's
yes.
why we don't live in the moment. That's the reason. So right here, right now is the only place that exists. It's the only place that you can live life, and it's the only place where you can make things happen. That's just the
Mm,
reality.
yeah. So, how do we balance right here, right now, and having vision and moving and working on things that are, in the future? How
Yeah.
do we balance our mindset and our emotions to maintain presence and reality while creating and working a strategic plan for what we want that's in the future?
Great question. I would say the best method that I found is time boxing and
Mm,
knowing yourself. So what does that mean? If you are sad about something, give yourself time to be sad. Like if something happened in the past and you really need to think about it and it's on your mind, in order to be present, you really need to deal with it. And whatever that dealing with it mean, it can be, like locking yourself in a room and screaming for half an hour. By all means, do it.
yeah,
I think we demonize a lot of things and we call things names like, oh, don't be weak, don't be. That's like, no, know yourself, and whatever
and be
yourself needs,
yourself.
yeah, you need to engage in daydreaming and dreaming of a brighter future. Great, but time box it. Give yourself time. How much time are you going to? 10 minutes, an hour, two
Right.
hours. Then when you're done with it, go back to life and
Yeah.
live in the moment, because
Yeah.
that's where you can do is like, and ask yourself, what do I really want to make happen? And what is the smallest action I can take right now? Because in the moment, you can't take big actions. You can take
Mm-hmm.
any big action will actually take time. So
Yes.
let's say you want to talk to the love of your life. That cannot happen in the moment. You probably have to take some time, prepare for it. So okay, break it down. What can you do right now? Well, maybe I can write what I want to talk about. At least write the key points, or I can prepare a gift, for example, a small gift so I can present, or I can just call and arrange it a time. What are the smallest things that you can do? And I like to do that as usually two questions. One question is, if you had all the time and money in the world, what would you do about this matter that's in front of you? So let's say it's a career, or landing the love of your life. What is the one single action that will move you a little bit closer, inch you closer towards that? And that
Mhm.
is what I call in the book, you're a captain and you're navigating the sea of life. There's the
Yeah.
treasure island that you're going after, but between you and the treasure island, there's an ocean, there are storms, there are high waves, low waves. So set your sail towards, or set your path towards the treasure island, but navigate the wave that it is right now. Because if you don't navigate your wave, you're going to drown.
That's so good. So good. So, so good. You're going to drown for sure. One of the boldest points you make is about saying no. One of my biggest things, it's always a growth journey for me. It still is, but I've gotten way better and I'm not where I used to be. You're right that no is a yes. And I love that concept. Can you unpack what that means and how saying no creates space for our purpose, which is another big part of my work and what I do and what I love to talk about. So you're just gonna make me more
I used to be a yes man. I'm still in many ways. I like to say yes. I like to please people. I like to
make people
engage.
happy.
But to carve time and to carve space for the things that matter most, I had to say no. It's not because I wanted to. So no became the protector of the things I wanted to say yes to. So it wasn't because we are afraid of saying no. We mainly because when we were young, when we were kids, no, when we first said it, people celebrated. The first time when a kid said no, I thought, okay, he's building a personality. But as we grow up, we can't say no to our parents, like depending what your parents are. It's like, what do you mean no? Go do this, especially my parents. You can't say no to your boss. You can't say no to your teacher. A lot of places no is demonized or seen in not as a good thing. We develop that whatever our idea is, everybody developed their own idea about no and not wanting to say no to the extent that you see it right now. You will see CEOs and people who are amazing in business incapable of saying no to you. You call them and you just offer them something and they escape and they don't answer because they don't want to say no, because no is hard to say. So what I would say is that think of it as the yes to something. So start with, what am I saying yes to that will cause me to say no to that thing? So for me at the time, I wanted to say yes to practicing more guitar while my friends wanted to go out and have fun. And I wanted to say yes to them. I didn't want to say no to them, but it was more important for me to say yes to the guitar. So it became a no to them. So the way I phrase it, I would say, I have guitar training right now. So it wasn't a no, but it was a no. So it's not necessary that however you're comfortable, work with who you are. A lot of things, I think, a lot of demands, and what I like the self-help industry, but a lot of times it's asking us to be somebody else. And it's really, really hard for us to change who we are. It's not impossible, but depending on how good you are with yourself, in certain areas you can be rigid and you can take decisions and you can make choices. Other areas you can't. So know yourself and know what you're capable of. And if it's hard for you, find tricks to how to get used to that. So invest time with, like, how do I handle this? If I'm not able to say no, how can I make it so that it's easier for me? How can I phrase it differently? So don't escape it. Because what was clear for me, I wanted to train on the guitar. Right now, I want to spend time to, let's say, be on this podcast. So that means I have to say no to other things. My family is up there. They're watching something. It's family time for us right now. And there is something more important. So how can I say, well, I'm saying yes to something and I have to explain it to them. And I do. Sometimes it helps, actually. I used to tell my friends, hey, I'm building for my band and I do need to spend time training the guitar. At the very beginning, they didn't like it, but guess who was at the concert later? So it takes time, and work with yourself and kind of train yourself, get yourself up to it and be ready to it, because there are a lot of things we haven't learned while growing up. So give yourself
Yes.
some space and be kind with yourself as you train and you learn and you grow. Don't expect too much of yourself, because then there will be a break between your expectations. Like, I failed to do that. And then you're like, it's a failure, rather than I'm working towards that.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I love that. Just think of it. What are you saying yes to? No is not really a no, it's a yes in purpose. I'm that's living with me now. Let's talk about, you and many of us have been through burnout and then the reinvention and then sometimes even failure. In your book, you write about the importance of surrender and recovery. How does resting instead of pushing actually become a power move in life mastery? And let me be honest, I'm learning this, right? So tell us about that.
This was one of the most difficult things, because
Mm.
I've always envisioned myself as invincible. And I was, honestly, when I was when I was young, whatever I set my mind to, I would do. And usually it had a purpose. Like when I was fourth grade, I wanted a Game Boy so bad that my mom told me, okay, great, I'll buy you one, but graduate top of your class. And
Done.
that meant 2 years. 2 years, I graduated top of my class over the whole school, and she bought me that. And I
Yeah,
learned that. And as growing up, especially high school, I used to sleep only 4 hours or 3 hours
that was
and
me.
study. In university, we will go to somebody's house, and for a whole month, that's our regiment. And the days before the exam, we would say like 2, 3 days stay up.
Study.
Yeah. And also one of the things I learned that I picked up, I picked up a book about how to read faster. So by the first year university, nobody
Speed
wanted to
reading.
study with me because I would actually finish a subject in 5 hours, and they're like still at the 30% mark. So I was almost invincible. But what ended up happening, it caught up with me because as I was growing up and like I'm in my 30s and I would work and I would stay up, what ended up happening, I will reach sometimes the end of the week and I will crash. And what happens when you crash is that and I didn't notice at the very beginning. I started monitoring my energy level, and
Yeah.
I notice when I stay up and I pretend to work, and I say I pretend to work because I end up
Yes.
like I am working, but the amount of things that I'm producing and the productivity is so much lower than usual.
Yes.
I'm basically fighting against myself. And then
Yes.
I don't remember where I got that. Somebody said that work will expand to fill the time that you give it. So
That's
when yeah, it was such a good insight, right?
yeah.
And because my partner, my co-founder is my wife as well. So we
Yeah.
work together. So it's not like when you have someone who's not working,
To go
you
home.
exactly.
Hard
We're always
stops.
working and we always had the computer, we always had the laptop, like we're sitting and we're working. So what ended up happening, we tried this and we limited. In fact, I did something so crazy. At a certain time, I think I was in Dubai at the late, I think 2009, 2010. What I used to do is I tried these sleep patterns. And one of the sleep patterns, I will stay up 4 hours, I will sleep 20 minutes. I will stay up 4 hours, I'll sleep 20 minutes. And I do
Not
that.
that.
So I actually gained around 6, 7 hours a day because I didn't sleep at night. But you know what ended up happening? Because I sat down and worked all the time and there was nobody at night to like to deal with, I ended up hurting my back because I'm sitting all the time. So it
Yeah.
actually worked against me and I had to work so hard to fix my back. So your body is not a machine. And I used to have this mentality like, no, my body will respond to
On
the
to what I
power of
tell
my
it.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all BS. Like
Yes. It's a
your
bad
body
belief system.
your
I've
body has
that.
a limit. Yeah, your body has a limit. And if you and know what is it they say, I think in gambling, know your limit, play within it, kind of thing. So
Ah.
so know your limits. And what you end up happening is you need to start focusing on the times that you're the most productive. when
Yes.
when you start looking at that and start looking at where am I the most productive and where can I pour my full attention and how can I rest in between times and what are the methods that brings back my energy. So I discovered walking with music. That for me it works very well. Watching YouTube videos does magic for me. I don't know why, especially politics in YouTube, because it's completely out of the work that I do and it kind of resets my mind. Like I'm in a complete different, and I come back energized. So I go walk and I listen to YouTube, listen to music. Sometimes I sleep for 20 minutes. So I try different things, and everyone's body is different and everybody kind of tolerance is different. And when you actually work with your body, your level of productivity will shoot through the roof.
Yes.
So 1 hour is worth four
Yes.
hours of, let's say, regular
Yes.
productivity.
Living proof of that. And everyone's body is different. One of the key things that you said too is know your limits and play within it.
Mhm.
Because I know there's some people who would say, oh, Lisa, you should probably do this and you should probably do that. And I'm like, thank you so much for that. And I don't even go back and forth. But I know for my body and even my lifestyle and what I'm responsible for, that suggestion wouldn't work. The key is, like you said, is knowing your limits and what you're capable of and like finding what your peak time of productivity is and provide yourself the nutrients, both body, mind, soul, spirit, and align it for that way of being and doing. And that's where you're where I call flow state. You're in flow state and know when you're in flow state and when you start to diminish out of flow state, it's just like a car that's running out of darn gas. And if it's running
Mhm.
out of gas, you're going to have to refuel it. And that might mean a nap. It might need a couple of days off of that continuum of what it is you're working on. You might be in the middle of a project. But trust me, in the long run, like Hussein told you, he said, I end up hurting my back. And I'm sure he got a lot done, but he in turn had to spend months away from work, which cost him even more than what he gained sitting there, and then the money and the time to get himself repaired. So I know that. I've lived it. I'm not doing that again. I tell people what my 45-year-old body does is very different from my 20-year-old body, my 35-year-old body, and I respect and honor it. And that is what I'm going to get. And that's why, even though I believe that, we're learning so much more in technology and how to take care of our body, how to eat and all that stuff. But I still believe that the body aging is a process that no matter what they
Mhm.
do, they might slow down the appearance of aging, but it's still happening. So let's
100%.
let's go. We're into flip the script, Hussein. This is part of the show where we flip the script. I want you to share a time in your life when you had to completely shift your mindset, when things weren't working, and how it made radical change in your life. Number one, what was that moment? What mindset shift made the difference? And how did it change the outcome for you?
Yeah. When I landed in Vancouver, I was an accomplished entrepreneur with 20 years of experience. I built ad agencies, I built companies. By then, I had built already 20 companies and I had successful ad agencies, award winning. I landed in Vancouver and I said, I'm gonna own this place. Like it should be a walk in the park for
Yeah,
me.
right?
And like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they got punched in the face. And
Oh,
I got punched in the
yeah.
face. So
Yeah.
here I am. I applied to jobs. I applied to 200 jobs. I got one lousy interview. And apparently I don't have Canadian experience. I was like, I'm overqualified. And I never
Yeah.
understood that. But the result was the same. So even though and I mean, funny enough, like even though by that time I thought of myself as, this evolved being with all the wisdom and,
Yeah.
it's like I know how to handle this, but I was really, really shocked that you're never prepared for real feedback. And that's what I mean by real life, where, for me, everything that I did mattered. And in every measurement, every objective measurement, it mattered. But there was something not adding up, like the life was not responding to me for what I thought I've actually worked hard to. So it took me some time and I had to step back and say, again, what is real right now? What can I work with?
Right.
And I thought the biggest thing that I know about myself and I know about life is that the more people I know, the more opportunity comes my way. I said, let me go meet some people. And I started doing that in May in 2014. I had arrived in Vancouver in February 2014. By May, I had nothing yet. So I started doing that. I asked myself, if I had all the time, money in the world, what would I do? Because I practice everything that I teach in the book, everything I teach my entrepreneurs is something I apply in my life on a regular basis. I said, I want to be a best-selling author. If I had all the time money in the world, I'll sit and write. And then the reality is like, okay, you don't have time because you're searching for a job. You have a family. You need to build a life here. What do I have? I have 20 minutes on the bus going downtown and 20 minutes going back. So 20 minutes going down, I will write whatever I can in an article, and 20 minutes going back. At the time, the LinkedIn app allowed that you can search and you can add people without having to add a note, and there's no limit. It was still new, so I used that hack. So on the way back, I will add like 100 or 200 people every day, and on the way down, I will write. And LinkedIn at the time allowed articles. It was the first time, so I would be adding people within the summer. I added 6,000 people, and I had 100 coffees. And I had articles on my LinkedIn. People would go on my LinkedIn. It's like, oh, you're accomplished, and so, because I worked on my LinkedIn profile, and I got 5 job offers without even asking for a job.
That's awesome. Yes.
So I had to change
Yes.
completely.
Yes.
how I saw things. I had to change how I approach things, and I approached them like a beginner, like I didn't have background. So I left all of that, all of my history, and I said, what can I do with what I have right now? So I worked with what I have, and that opened up Vancouver for me. And within like a few years, I was named one of the top influencers in Vancouver, next to Ryan Holmes, who's the CEO of Hootsuite at the time. I was like, here I am.
Right.
I just arrived in town. And this is what this allows you, is that you have so much power in the moment. And when you let go of whatever life owes you, or whatever you thought that how you should behave, because I behaved like I was in Dubai. And in
Yeah.
Dubai, it worked perfectly. I was like top of my game in Dubai. But then when I had to completely change and adopt Hussein in Vancouver and become the person I need to be here. And that was difficult because I invested so much in the person I was.
Yes. Whoa. I love that. That is an absolute flipped. What I heard was you're saying that you for the sake of being present and being in the moment, you let your successes and even your misfires to the side, and you're like, I'm in Vancouver now, and I've got to ride this bus, and I still want to be a best-selling author. I can't just stop what I'm doing and become an author. I gotta go to work. I gotta look for work. So you just put everything that you taught us earlier in this moment of flipping the script. And what I heard is, while you put it away to be present, life and nature did not put it away. Because once you aligned yourself with where you were presently, and you own the moment, and you hone in on what resources were with you, you then still in an accelerated place of progress, because you now were still feeding. You can't disconnect what you've learned, but you can disconnect your attachment to what it means in this moment. Oh my gosh, that's so deep as I say it. I have goosebumps. So once you were in the present state, that process of, that's where you're standing next to Ryan Holmes, because, and people are like, who the heck is Hussein Hallack? This Hussein Hallack has been putting in the work. Just now seeing him in Vancouver here for the last 2 years, they can only see 2 years. Like, everyone will only see a year and a half in the podcast. But let me tell you guys, I wake up way before you all hear me here. I wake up and I speak to small groups of youth in Africa at 2 in the morning, the Philippines, a group of 90 something teachers that they don't even have social media to follow me if I ask them. And I'm training them. And I was creating the gift of content around what I believed in and what I want the world to have, quietly, without anyone knowing me, and also practicing the skill of sharing it with a group of people. And I believe so when you come on the bigger platforms and you allow yourself, again, I came humbly. All I wanted to do was get my message out. I'm like, I'm not going to die with this in me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to let the fact that I have a corporate role and all of that, and I don't want to get up and put hair and makeup on to shoot video reels for social media, or I can't because I don't have the time, stop me. I'm going to do it anyway. The world's going to hear what I need to tell them. Here we are. I get to sit across from you and all these great people, which I'm learning along with our audience as well. Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm going to absolutely love re-listening to this lesson again, another masterclass. But before we let you go, we have to have mindset bites to go. Hussein, this is where I step away from the microphone and the camera, where I give you the space to give our audience and viewers and listeners 90 seconds where you speak directly to them. Was one powerful and practical takeaway you would give to them, as so they can have even more clarity and courage and master their own life today?
Thank you very much. Think of yourself as coming in from the rain, like water coming from droplets of rain, very weak, very small, but then they come together into a stream, and then you become a river, this raging river going downstream. The rocks doesn't know you are a river. They don't care. So you'll hit rocks along the way, and all you have to do is change your path and wind left, right, and center until you reach your destination. You have so much power within you, no matter how small. You just have to continue to build on it and gather that power gather you those experiences, live life, live every moment. And with every moment you live fully, you grow, you expand, you evolve, you learn, and you become the person that you never expected to be. And I think that is the most powerful gift that you can give yourself, a life that is fully lived. There is no bigger gift, not Ferrari, not all the money in the world. Think of it, anything you can think of. Nothing is bigger than granting yourself a life that is worth living, a life that is fully lived with all its failures, with all its successes, with all your power and all your brilliance, I would say. And that's the gift I give myself, and that's the gift you deserve to give yourself.
Wow, I absolutely love it. So, so powerful. Hussein, man, it has just been such an incredible conversation. I know I'm going to be sending you an invite back for sure, because there's so much more that I wanted to talk about today, but in the essence of one episode. So we're going to have you come back when you're available to talk some more about more of this life mastery, because we didn't even start. And I had so much more, but I knew I couldn't do it in an hour. Hussein, everyone listening wants to know what's their favorite way to connect with you, and what's your favorite way for them to get a copy of your book?
Thank you. So you can go to husseinhallack.com, very easy, and you'll find my book. You'll find all the information. You can connect with me there and follow me on all the socials. And please send me an email, get the book, read it, tell me what it did for you, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. And thank you very much for having me here today. Your questions and the space that you create is so awesome that it kind of made me even speak about those things and discover things for myself. I'm learning as I go through this podcast. So I absolutely loved it. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh my goodness, it's a pleasure, definitely. Thank you so much for your honesty and courage, and for reminding us that life mastery isn't about waiting for permission. It is about choosing meaning over comfort every single day. And that was what I love. I can't wait to finish the book because I'm learning so much. I'm going to send you an email. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go review it as well. And for everyone listening, make sure you grab a copy of Hussein's book, The Dark Art of Life Mastery, and connect with him at husseinhallack.com. You'll find the links wherever you're watching and listening to this. We absolutely love hearing about it. So comment on the episode. You can literally go to Spotify and comment on the episode specifically there. Hussein will be reading those too. And then shoot him an email. We'll have his email in the show notes as well. And remember, your life is yours. Your way, right here, right now, as Hussein will say. Don't postpone it. Don't postpone your breakthrough. I am Dr. Alisa, your number one mindset disruptor, with my co-host for today, Hussein Hallack, saying keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do, become, and it's always right here, right now. We'll see you on the inside. Bye now.